Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. If you're a focused learner trying to get a real grip on the foundations of how we study the human past, well, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're unpacking the core concepts of this introductory chapter, and spoiler alert, we are not going to treat history like some dusty list of dates and dead kings. Instead, we're going to look at it as an active, ongoing detective investigation. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this with a really foundational idea from the historian E.H. Carr. He famously stated that history is an unending dialogue between the present and the past, between the society of today and the society of yesterday. So what does this actually mean? Well, it means history isn't just a static, finished book sitting on a shelf somewhere. It's a live, active conversation. The questions we ask today literally change the answers we find about yesterday. We are, quite literally, a part of this unending dialogue.
To kind of bring this down to earth, I want you to ask yourself, what is the absolute earliest memory you can actually recollect? Seriously, think about it for a second. Do you remember how old you were? For most of us, those memories go back to when we were about 5 or 6 years old. Those very first mental snapshots, a childhood home, a favorite toy, a moment with a grandparent, those form the absolute beginning of your personal historical timeline. That is your past.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, an unending dialogue. Then, the scale of time. Next, the past's detectives. Followed by clues to the past. And finally, your personal history. Moving right along to Section 2, the scale of time.
4.54 billion years. Take a moment to just let that massive figure sink in. The Earth has a very, very long history. When we study the human past in this chapter, we are looking at something that occupies only a tiny, minuscule fraction of the most recent chapter of this planet's entire existence.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how recently we humans arrived on the scene. Think about it. The planet formed 4.54 billion years ago. Primates, they only showed up around 10 million years ago. And us, Homo sapiens, we've really only been around for about 300,000 years. Compared to the vastness of deep time, humans literally just arrived at the party.
Now, because human history is just one small slice of this time, different societies have developed incredibly unique ways to measure and track it all. For example, in India, traditional calendars rely heavily on the complex positions of the sun and the moon. A Panchanga is a traditional book of tables that uses this astronomical data to define months, predict solar and lunar eclipses, track dates, and even give weather predictions. And amazingly enough, these are still actively used today to schedule festivals and important events.
All right, on to Section 3, the past's detectives.
So, the crucial point is that piecing together history requires a highly specialized team. A historian almost never works alone. Geologists study the physical features of the Earth, like soil and rivers. Paleontologists study fossils from millions of years ago. Anthropologists dive deep into human societies and cultures. And archaeologists actually dig up the physical remains people left behind. Each of these disciplines tackles a completely different but totally essential piece of the historical puzzle.
Take the geologist, for example. When a geologist looks at a landscape, they aren't just, enjoying a pretty view. They're analyzing the actual stones, the layers of soil, the hills, and the rivers to uncover geographical secrets from millions of years ago. To them, the Earth itself is their primary source document.
Meanwhile, archaeologists and anthropologists are out in the field literally digging up the human past. They meticulously excavate sites to find everything from tiny stone tools and broken pots to beads, animal bones, and even the foundations of buried houses. Every single item pulled from the earth is essentially a clue left behind at a centuries-old scene.
But hey, history isn't just about digging in the dirt anymore. Over the last 50 years or so, these traditional detectives have been joined by high-tech, modern scientific studies. We can now actually analyze the genetics and DNA of ancient people. We can perform complex chemical studies on excavated materials and even reconstruct ancient climates. This science provides incredibly fresh insights that perfectly supplement our traditional understanding.
Which brings us to Section 4, clues to the past. Generally speaking, these historical clues fall into two main buckets. On one side, we have archaeological sources. These are the physical, tangible objects dug right out of the earth, things like pottery, tools, coins, and monumental buildings. On the flip side, we have literary sources, the written and spoken words passed down through generations. This includes delicate manuscripts, folklore, religious texts, and the journals of ancient travelers.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how a fragile ancient manuscript might not look like much at first glance, but it actually acts as a direct, literal voice from an ancient society. Through these literary sources, we can read the exact poems, scientific thoughts, and historical chronicles of people who lived thousands of years ago. It's honestly as close to time travel as we can get.
And on the archaeological side of things, even something as small as a single gold coin is an absolutely critical puzzle piece. I mean, one coin can tell us the name of a ruler, the economic prosperity of a kingdom, their metallurgical skills, and even their religious beliefs, all based on the figures stamped right into the metal.
Then, of course, there are the large artistic sources. Think of stunning monuments like the Lion Capitol. Structures and sculptures like these offer massive clues about the political power, the societal structure, and the grand beliefs of past empires. They were intentionally designed to send a message to the future, and our historians are the ones translating that message today.
But we always have to come back to our central metaphor here. Every single object, every coin, every manuscript tells a story, acting just like a piece in a giant jigsaw puzzle. But because of that immense scale of time we talked about earlier, many pieces are still missing, simply lost forever to decay and time. The job of the historian is never truly done.
Let's move on and see how this builds into Section 5, your personal history.
You know, you can actually become a historian of your own life right now just by building a family tree. Try tracking the information for just 3 generations back: your parents, your grandparents, and your great-grandparents. Find out their names, what they did for a living, and exactly where they were born. You'll quickly find yourself acting exactly like an investigator, hunting for oral sources and physical documents in your very own home.
And that brings us to our final thought for this explainer. If history truly is an unending dialogue between the past and the present, well, what sources are you leaving behind for the detectives of tomorrow? Every photo you take, every digital footprint, the everyday objects in your room, these are the future artifacts of tomorrow's history. It really changes the way you look at your daily life, doesn't it? Keep asking questions, keep learning, and I will see you in the next explainer.